reactions. What's the topic today? Look, you never know. It's DeeDeesReactions, real life reviews with a real one for sure.
So this black woman messaged me and she was like, I feel as though you empathize with black men, but you don't empathize with black women. Well, the reason why I empathize with black men is because black men are the most disrespected out of all the races in the world, right? Black men are the most disrespected by their woman, meaning the black woman, right? There is no other race in the world where women think that it's okay to disrespect their man the way that black women disrespect black men. And here's the crazy part about it. Let's go to the statistics. Let's go to the facts. Black women are the least likely to get married. Black men are getting married at higher rates than black women. Black men are commodities. If you go to any place around the world, most women want black men. Black men are commodities. But for whatever reason, black women don't see that.
Right. And I just think it's unfortunate. You know, you have other races of women who want black men, who look at black men in a high regard. But black women seem to just dismiss that and have no, regard for black men whatsoever, because they want to feel and believe that they're better or superior to black men. And it's unfortunate because I think a lot of them are missing out. There are some, I'll say some for the sake of this, I'll say some women, black women, they just have a disdain for black men. I don't know why. Maybe it's an indoctrination. Maybe it's something that they've been taught to feel and I definitely think that's part of it, that there's something, they've been indoctrinated to think, or they've been taught to have negative opinions and feelings about black men without having even been around all black men. But they tend to put all black men in this category and just make this assumption that they're all bad. And sometimes I would say it may have stemmed from their experiences with black men, but not all the time. There are women who are coming up with this mindset who have never had bad experiences with black men. In fact, they've had good experiences with those men and they still couldn't forge a relationship with them. But they still go on these tirades of how black men are just so horrible and how they're just at the bottom and they're so this and they're so that. Even though that hasn't been their experience, which is that's mind-boggling to me, for one. But then on top of that, it's like, if you are a woman in these spaces and you speak on the positive nature of black men and you speak on the negative behavior of a lot of black women, somehow that's when you become a pick-me. That's when, oh my God, you favor men, you're a pick-me. You never have anything to say good about women. That's because the majority of y'all don't ever have anything to say good about men. The narrative is always set that black men are at the bottom, they're this, they're that, and that. So when you have women who come out and counter that and say, no, that is not the representation of all black men. There are good men out here. And I can give you, even though it's an anecdotal experience or anecdotal opinion and our experience, it's still one. And then there are other women who are saying, hey, my husband is great. I have a husband. Usually the women who are speaking positive about men are typically married for the most part. And they have good experiences with men. So that's what they're telling you. So if you're over here saying, oh, all black men are just this, they're all the same, we're saying, no, they're not, ma'am. Either it's you that you're attracting a certain type of guy, or that's just the guys that you've dated. That's not a representation of all men. You can't put all of them in the category. But then when we say that and we speak on our experiences, which is opposite of theirs, somehow ours are, so almost, invalidated, like, oh my God, no, that's your, if I say, you can't sit here and say all black women have experienced negative black men and men who've treated them bad, because I'm not one of those black women. So I can't sit up here and lie and create a narrative that I know is false. No, I've not had bad relationships with black men. You know what I mean? And there are other women who can attest to that as well. But if I haven't had that negative experience, why would I just speak on a negative experience that I have, that I've never experienced? So if you over here as a black woman have experienced negativity with black men, specify that is your experience, but that is not every black woman's experience, and I can only speak from my experience, not something that I hear everybody is saying. Now, I'm not going to try to invalidate your experience, but you can also make it clear that, hey, this is just my experience. This is not everyone. But a lot of women don't do that. A lot of black women don't do that. Just put all black men in that category, and you make it as if they all do the same thing. And then when people come up and tell you, hey, that's not my experience, you look sideways like, what you mean? What you mean? That just goes to show you that is not the accurate representation of all men, just the ones that you seem to attract. But then they want to go get offended. Well, like, once again, y'all pick me. Y'all want to get picked so bad. We don't want to get picked. We've already been picked. That's the thing. And now we're telling you our experiences and possibly how we got picked. But you don't want to hear it because you don't want to do what's necessary for you to get the type of man that you really would want or think you want. But the problem, and this is why we have to bring up these types of women. We have to because the problem is not always the men. And that's the real part that they don't want to accept. The problem is not all the men. The problem is you. Oh my God. The problem is usually you, typically you. And so to avoid any accountability, you got to keep making it seem like this is all men, to remove yourself from the equation, to make it seem as if all the men are just flawed and all the problem and all these women are just doing the right things, and they keep coming across all these, because if all the men are bad, then there's no accountability on your part. There's nothing that you should do as the woman, because you're made in the shade. You're free from any accountability because all of the men are bad. That's what you're projecting. All of them are bad, so there's no hope for any of them and no hope for you to get a good one because they're all bad. That means that would exclude you from the equation and make it to seem as if all women are, they're just so perfect and righteous and they got it all together and the men are all the problem. But that's just ridiculous. What they don't like is accountability. What you want is this Bonnie Cruz sisterhood of the traveling pants. You want all women to support your narrative, whether it's negative or not, whether it's good or bad. And like I said, I'm too damn old. I'm too grown to go with that. I have grown children. There's no way I would sit here and be like, oh yeah, you know what? All the sisterhood, Bonnie Cruz Society of the Sisterhood Traveling Pants, whatever you want to call it, they're always right. Women are always right. You got that. Women, because I heard a woman say this, I'm always going to go with the women. I hate defending men. Why do you hate defending men? Do you have sons? It is, and usually these people have children. So you just gonna go with a woman because she tell you anything and you just go with it, protect all women, believe all women? Like, no, that is a ridiculous narrative. That doesn't make any logical sense, but we know that is not really common these days. Oh my God. And I'm not for man or woman. I'm for what is right. If you're right, you're right. I don't care what gender you are. If you're wrong, you're wrong. It's not about male, female. Oh, you caping for the men. You empathize with men, but not women. No, I could empathize with anybody if you're right. I am an empathetic person. But I'm not going to keep empathizing with people who keep choosing to do things the same way, expecting a different result. I'm not going to empathize with folks who don't want to listen to the truth and do things to change the very things that they're complaining about. I'm not going to empathize with you keep making the same choices and not wanting to acknowledge your part in it. I'm not going to empathize with that because you keep doing it to yourself. It's not like you're in an unforeseen or a situation that was out of your control and it had nothing to do with you and you're just a victim in this. But no, a lot of these modern women are perpetual victims by their own hands. You keep creating the issues that you're having and you keep blaming it on somebody else because you want to be a perpetual victim, because you want sympathy all the time and you want the blame to constantly go somewhere else and you never want it to be pointed at you. And so I look at it as, look, I could empathize with anybody. I don't just empathize with women. I empathize with men too, because I think men, a lot of times get the short end of the stick. I do. And for so long, the focus has always been on how horrible men are, but the focus has never pointed to these horrible women out here, these deadbeat mothers, these women who are just reckless in their behavior and doing anything. They don't want us to talk about it. So this is why they like to try to shame you and say, oh, you're pick me, that's the best you could do. And oh my God, all you do is, no, I empathize with anybody who's out here trying to do the right thing, and maybe somebody takes advantage of them and it's not something that they asked for or something that they created themselves. I can empathize with anybody. It's not just women. And so a lot of these women have this disdain for men. They hate men, and they just don't want no parts of anything you would have to say positive about a man. But you want everybody to say everything positive about women, even if you're not positive. I'm not going to do that. I cannot do that. Once again, I have sons and I have daughters. I cannot, put myself out there like that and allow my children to look at me and say, Mom, you're just favor women. You believe whatever they say. And what about us? Like, nah, hell no. Like, see, never. But I don't think a lot of these modern Bonnet Crew Society members get it. You know what I mean? Because it's all self-absorbed. They're all into themselves. They all are thinking about just them. You're not even thinking about your children. You're not thinking about anybody else. You got to understand it. If you have sons, your sons are going to be young men at some point. And do you want the type of women that think like you to be in your son's lives? Do you want them to look at your son as somebody who's, irrelevant, somebody who you just don't want to hear anything he has to say? It's all about your point of view and what you have to say. Do you want a woman like that entertaining your son? Probably not. More than likely, they wouldn't like it, because the same way a lot of these women try to falsely accuse these young men, and the mothers don't like it. You don't just believe her now, do you? So just think about somebody else's son. Think about somebody else's situation. Get out of your own head and stop focusing just on what you think and what you feel, and think about other people and how this can affect them. So maybe it'll take that for them to realize it, but it's just a hot mess.